Right. It may surprise some people to learn this, but guess what? There is life beyond the M25. And when it comes to Brexit, yes, I am as bored of it as you are, but I can't help but feel it gives us an opportunity to look at how things are done a little closer to home. If Brexit actually happens, we stand to gain significant control back from Brussels, but giving that control solely to Westminster would be a mistake. If we truly want to fix the north-south divide and address the reasons why people voted for Brexit, it's time to give the north more power over its destiny. Take Yorkshire, where I'm from, for example. We're the biggest county in the country, bigger than Wales and Northern Ireland, but we don't have any of the devolved powers that they do. So it's time to devolve the decisions that affect the north to the north.
So I think my starting point is always I'm suspicious of power grabs and I'm suspicious of the state accruing more and more power. So I agree with you that after Brexit there's a danger that Westminster grabs a whole bunch of powers that used to belong to Brussels that could well be dispersed across the country. I'm also for devolution in principle, and I think that localised government is usually always better than centralised government. So in principle I agree with your sentiment. But I just want you to help me understand what this would look like. Are you saying that as well as those powers being distributed across the country, Yorkshire should get like a Greater Manchester-style mayoral, directly elected governing authority? Or are you saying that your case is only for Yorkshire and other parts of the country shouldn't have devolved powers?
No, so what I would say is, and why I've chosen this topic is I think when you look at places in the north, so many people voted for Brexit and they voted for it for various different reasons. But it's indisputable that actually there's a huge north-south divide, and we have these great PR terms like Northern Powerhouse and whatever. But actually, if you truly want the north to prosper, what you've got to do is make sure that the investment is there, the infrastructure is there, you can travel from east to west properly and efficiently, skills can travel, people can travel, all that kind of stuff. So obviously I'm Yorkshire, so I've got a bias to Yorkshire, but this applies beyond. So there is a thing, a proposal that's been submitted called One Yorkshire, for example, where what they want to do, 18 of the 20 local authorities have come together as a collective, and what they're saying is devolve to us the power, so delegate rather than dictate, Westminster, allow us to have the budget and the capacity to make our own decisions on transport, adult education, housing, those kind of things. Yes, you'd have a mayor, so similar to Greater Manchester, but probably slightly broader, because just for those of you that don't know, Yorkshire, 5.4 million people, it's equivalent of Scotland in terms of the population, 3 times Northern Ireland. It's got an economy worth over 110 billion per annum, and that's bigger than some countries in the EU.
Can I listen, like you, I'm a Northern and I'm passionate about what happens to it. I'm a Geordie. And it's no coincidence that some of the biggest leave vote areas were in the former industrial heartlands, where people felt that the power, both economic and political, had been sucked away from their regions, and they're right, that's true. But I worry about devolution in the sense that councils all over the country now without devolution are failing. They are on the verge of going bankrupt. Northamptonshire, what's the other one? Somerset is... There was a report out this week saying that Manchester in 4 years' time could be bankrupt. So what happens if they get these devolved powers, Michelle, and they get given the money? My area, the North East, has now got a devolution deal. North Tyneside, Newcastle and Northumbria are going together under one elected mayor. They're getting 600 million quid from the government. What happens when they run out of that money? Because they can't go to central government again. And I'll tell you what happens. If they need more money, they take it from the people. They take it from the people in tax. And that's why all the failing councils this year are putting up their council tax by the maximum of 6% to pay for it. And that hurts people. That hurts normal people.
The councils are facing bankruptcies because they are dependent on central government funding, and it's been slashed by 50%. So,
but it's also mismanagement, Afra.
Well, the main reason is because they've been starved of funding. And for me, I mean, I agree with you, Michelle. My instinct is...
Whoa, steady on.
No, I agree with you. I have a lot of time for the argument that there is a huge north-south divide. I mean, it's shocking that every 12 jobs created in southern England, there's only one created in the north. And I think there's often a huge amount of contempt from Westminster politicians towards the north, which I personally find really offensive.
They've not even responded to the...
Yeah, and actually, let me just play you this from Lisa Nandy, who was revealing some emails that really give you insight into some of the thinking in Westminster about infrastructure in the north, which is so important.
These emails are a disgrace. In them, officials describe key northern routes as valueless, discuss classic handling strategies for members of Parliament, discuss whether to throw a sop to northern passenger groups, and debate whether to propagate myths in order to divert public attention from agreed planned route closures.
And I'm sorry to say that things like the Northern Powerhouse, which just had its 4th birthday last month, I don't feel like it was serious. I feel like it was electioneering by George Osborne. Because what's happened to it? 4 years on, what is there to show? George Osborne said travelling around Northern England should be like travelling around one global city. That's how good the infrastructure should be. There is still no plan as to how those new infrastructure routes would be developed.
In terms of what's happened to I am sorry to be Theresa May's spokesperson once again, but Theresa May well have a response to... No. There we are. This is what she has to say.
I'll take no lessons from the right honourable gentleman in devolution to local authorities. Which party is it that has established those metro mayors and given them those powers? It's the Conservative Party in government. Which party is it that is doing growth deals around the country, giving new responsibilities and local authorities? It is this Conservative government.
Now, you know, credit where credit is due. I suppose I had to say that after playing that. But anyway, I think the One North proposal is under consideration. But I did want to say that actually, in terms of one Yorkshire proposal, I do want to say that in terms of the bankruptcy and going bankrupt and spending the money and then raising the tax, but isn't that already what happens in London? I mean, we fund our own transport for London.
But the root of that question remains: what happens when a council goes bust when it has devolved powers? Who are they going to go to sort the problem out? They can't get to central government.
Hang on. What's happened in this country in recent years is that year by year by year, the amount of money given from central government to local and regional government has been reduced year after year after year, and it's now coming home. You know, the results are coming home. People are going to get in deep financial problems. And I think that's different from the debate about... England, this is interesting, it's not Britain. England is the most centralised country in Europe by any means. That, I agree, shouldn't continue. I think you have got to change this structure and this system, and that does mean giving giving mayors and local authorities the ability to raise their own money. When 30 years ago, if you wanted to put the rates up to raise more money to do something in your territory, you could do it.
But you will still hurt ordinary people in a devolved tax.
Sure, but but you can't just sit here saying that's their choice. When they vote for who they vote for, they make that decision. That's what democracy is all about. You're the one who always goes on about democracy.
Very quickly finish that point I was going to make, is that if we have it for London, we have the Greater London Authority, we have transport for London, and we pay for all of that ourselves, and we choose to live in London, and with it come the benefits of living in London. So I think, though your point may well be valid, I mean, I recall to my memory US cities, entire cities have gone bankrupt, you know, Detroit and what have you. But the thing is, of course, if we vote that in, and we vote for these directly elected mayors, and then we see the benefits of that, we pay for it in
we've also got to ask the people whether they actually want it. In 2004, when there was a limited referendum in the northeast about devolution, they rejected it the vote was 80% rejected. Look at the Scottish referendum vote, 10% majority to stay centralised with Westminster.
But you could argue that people in the northeast took the wrong decision. And
you couldn't argue that at all. That was their decision.
They can argue. Yes, but the result has been it's not been to the benefit of the northeast. Let's just look at what George Osborne said when he introduced the Northern Powerhouse.
There are big advantages in having an elected mayor to represent your city, to fight your corner in the world. A true powerhouse requires true power. So today I'm putting on the table and starting the conversation about serious devolution of powers and budgets for any city that wants to move to a new model of city government.
And what happened was Manchester and the surrounding towns and cities grabbed that opportunity and are way ahead of anybody else. And they've also got control of the health service, social care, and all the things that actually you would want devolution to be. I mean, it's done in a very strange way. I agree with you. There's not a democratic process at all. They've been bribed to do it.
Well, I'm astonished. You pretty much all agree with me.
That is shocking.